Justice, tranquility, defense, and welfare are all values of the U.S. taken directly from the preamble of our Constitution. As, as people who fought for liberty, freedom, and safety with the help of other nations, us as a superpower must extend our hand to nations in need of assistance in form accepting refugees.
I personally became passionate about this issue when I began volunteering with refugees in the community. Hearing the stories about all that they have gone through back in their home countries and the process of them coming to the US and then how far they've come in the US made me realize that without our country's aid and assistance, these people might not even be alive to tell their stories today. As a global superpower, it's our simple responsibility to protect these citizens of foreign nations by accepting them as refugees. Kiara and I will be explaining why refugees need us to help them in the first place and the things going on in their home countries, why accepting them is not a threat to our national security as many people believe it is, and what we as individual citizens can do to help make greater refugee acceptance a reality. Kiara will first introduce the problem, or why refugees need our help.
Syria, Iraq, and Congo are all experiencing unrest in form of war, dictatorship, and prosecution. For example, Syria is in the midst of civil war, while Congo is near constant state of mini wars. Meanwhile, ISIS is standing strong in Iraq. But civilians are caught up in horrible conditions, but their government are in shambles, which leads them to look for nobody to help them or take care of them. Therefore, increasing the number of accepted refugees, the U.S. could save thousands of lives. But the U.S. has the lowest number of refugees, accepted refugees at that. We've only accepted 18,000 refugees, which was stated in 2015. Meanwhile, France accepted 30,000 refugees, according to Huffington Post. One of the most prominent reasons people are hesitant towards accepting refugees is fear of threat to our national security. Cleo will now discuss how refugees increasing terrorism is non-factual.
Many people claim that increasing refugees in the US will lead to more terrorism as they connect refugees with events like 9/11 and the Boston bombings. But this argument simply isn't factual. The US has actually been accepting refugees for decades, and they have just not proven this to be true yet. According to the Huffington Post in 2015, the US accepted over 800,000 refugees between 9/11 and 2016. And of those 800,000, only 3 were ever arrested for terroristic activity. By contrast, according to the LA Times in 2016, since 2012 alone, there have been 10 mass shootings in the US committed by our very own citizens. So this kind of makes us question why we even fear the presence of refugees and maybe who we should be fearing more, possibly our own citizens. Another reason we need not fear refugees is because before they even get here, they have to undergo a very intense and selective vetting process. According to the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants in 2016, these people must undergo several background checks, FBI security clearance checks, and medical exams before even leaving their own countries and stepping foot on our shores. So this just kind of weeds out like any potential threat. So now that we know that we don't need to fear refugees, Kiara will explain what we as individual citizens can do to increase their numbers in the U.S.
So therefore, everyone in the room is obviously capable of voting. So voting for people who represent either refugees or immigrants could help us get our voices heard and give a helping hand. But a few ways that you can help us is by informing your family and friends about the situation and then asking them just to sponsor the refugees as a whole. Or also, you could just stay on top of the crisis, keep yourself updated, and just learn more about the situation and continue to learn more about the crises that are going on. Sponsorships are still in the works, such as Bethany Christian Services Aid in providing refugee children with foster homes. If you know anyone that provides foster care, just bring it up to them.
We explained why the U.S. should be more open to accepting refugees. We discussed why refugees need our protection and discussed all of the different things going on in their home countries that would lead to our needed aid. We also refuted the position that refugees cause terrorism. The facts just don't line up at all. A lot of it is just a lot of fear versus facts. We also informed you guys that you truly do have the power to change this issue through your votes and through your sponsorship.
Compared to most of the world, America is known for being stable and more wealthy. But it is our duty to protect our citizens of other nations by accepting refugees. Just think about it. If you had family that lived in other countries, what would you want for them?